Okay, we're going to add some configurations to this part. So okay, set a part number or a description, check the use bill of materials, and then change this to configuration name. Because
name in the assembly tree and seeing the description.
That's just more versatile, supposedly, later on. And note that there is an option, an advanced option to suppress, and this is checked by default, suppress new features. So, and I edited our first configuration too, so that now they're doing kind of the same thing, same style, etc. That I can anyway. Okay, and like I said, you can go tree display, show configuration descriptions, and that gives us the that. I actually turned this off, but and this off. This, I don't know what that's for, and this is what I turned off. Okay, I did an extruded cut operation to, with a rectangle, just to cut the tops off of these a little bit. But now I'm using the mirror command right here, and I selected the top plane, the center plane is our normal to it, to mirror the operation. So you can see that machined off that high, because these two cylinders are shorter now because they've been machined down. Basically I drew this parallelogram here, or not parallelogram, but a trapezoid, I guess, with parallel sides, for the construction line. And I'll show you what I did, which is kind of cool. Given the constraints on this, if you actually drag this node, because it's free, it's not defined yet, it's a good way to center something up with something else. So, okay, now I'm going to drag the profile above the part arbitrarily to overlap, and then I'm going to set a distance between that and the edge of the part to 1/4 of an inch. And I am reusing the sketch, and I'm reusing the sketch, that was that cut extrude, for the holes. So, so it's going to force this profile to be cut through by the same operation. So, as you can see there, now this cut right here was on a different sketch. So, this here, but this is the feature we just applied, and since it already had those holes on it, it made sense for you. And I'll have you note that since we selected, had these because this is the version of the part we're working on right here. I double click this to activate it. But since we are suppressing features, that's why the fillets here are gone, and the fillets here are gone, because they've been suppressed. Because we actually made these holes a little larger by a machining operation. So, remember, some of these full previews aren't activated by default, like the chamfer command I'm using. It was confusing me at first. I'm selecting the cylinders instead of the edges, so I don't know if there's a difference, but voila. So we chamfered those instead of filleting them. We filleted all these out. Yeah, I'm trying to run an inheritance test. I don't know if these other instances we created over here are inherited or what, but I'm editing the original class here, and I'm drawing a new sketch on the surface of this to bore some, I'm just going to bore some blind holes as registration holes, and see if we can, see what happens. I want to see if it propagates up the chain or not, or if these are just discrete instances or just copies of each other. Because I don't know if this is just a copy of this or if it's actually inheriting properties. So I don't know if I make a change to this, will that propagate up to this, or would I have to like totally redo it? Because I know I can go edit the properties of this, and make it totally different shape and size, etc., from the original class that's based on. And if it's just a copy, then I won't be able to actually make changes in the base class and have it propagate. Because I suspect it's just a copy, but I don't know. So, anyway, let's do a cut extrude. And I'm just going to do like I said, a blind hole. I guess I can make it of an arbitrary length. About like that. And that'll work. Okay, so, I got some registration holes. Now later I can go and roll back this thing if I wanted to. Although these are all grayed out for some reason, I'm not quite sure why. Oh, maybe well, this might apply to the inheritance, so maybe this is inherited. So let's go see if it inherited that. No, it didn't. So, like I said, this is totally independent. So, but like I said, we can look at the operations here, which are these operations. Versus here, these grayed out operations. I don't know what these are. Yeah, that's part of that cut extrude for that other operation. So yeah. So these grayed out ones are are from the instance we created, but yet this doesn't forward propagate. So now maybe you can do that. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and roll this back for the time being. So we don't have those in there. Anyway. Okay, I went ahead and rolled that forward again, but apparently, you can see that, I'm in the inherited class. It does have this available. So, yeah, because it does have a parent-child relationship. I should be able to or make this thing I should be able to make this thing apply somehow. Unsuppress. Yeah, there we go. So it's a now that's part of this, so it can inherit that way, but it can also back inherit, as you see, in our original part. We could unsuppress these features too, so inheritance can go in reverse too. So, but I could probably come here and unsuppress this feature as well if I wanted to. Okay, without rolling it back. So I'm just going to suppress the feature, the trait, if you will, and here I'll go suppress it as well. So, well, that's pretty cool. So, anyway. Okay, now, if we go look, at any one of these configurations, oops, okay, properties. You know, when we have this, this only applies to applying new features. So if I would have drawn those 4 holes, okay, and not had this checked, it would have automatically not suppressed them. So really, this just is a question of whether it automatically suppresses something that you apply even to a separate part. You know, whether it back propagates or not. Because theoretically, even if I had been editing this version of it and drew those holes here, they would have, you know, if I wouldn't have had that suppressed features checked, it would have back propagated to our original part. So anyway, so we're going to go here, okay, and you know, hit properties, okay, and unsuppress new features, and we'll do some operations on this, and we'll see what happens.
Since the suppress option.
Okay, you know, I drew a hole in here, and this is on the machine part. Now let's see what happens when we go to the cast version. Okay, the cast version, it's not applied yet. But that's because I have suppressed properties checked there. However, in the machine version, you know, I uncheck that. So it's got to be unchecked, you know, in the appropriate areas, apparently. It's a little confusing.
Was unchecked.
Okay, now, like I said, remember, this was not extruded or suppressed. I mean, it was suppressed, you know, even though we may not want it to be. But you can go to like this feature, okay, and hit feature properties.
Now activate.
Okay, so if you hit, you know, configure feature, it shows you a suppression list. So I can actually uncheck it there and apply, you know, and then voila, you know, it's suppressed on, unsuppressed on everything. So, you know, you can do the same for any feature, you know, go select any given feature and, you know, either suppress or unsuppress it, you know, using that list, you know, so you can see what the state of suppression is. But, you know, we want to take this and go ahead and suppress it everywhere. So that takes care of that.